Good afternoon, guys. I know I was gonna not upload for a few days, but I'm really bored because I don't want to go out because I still feel ropey, walking around like the Tin Man and looking far worse. To go out in public looking like me at the moment would scare the little children. So I've been thinking a lot about the madness that is going around the place, the SRA like crazies. I've seen that Trouser Mouse has found another one. A lady called Emma McCauley. Another one that's met Wilfred Wong, and then all of a sudden is a victim of SRA. She contradicts herself a little bit the more sort of little clips you look. But the fact remains, she says that she meets Wilfred Wong and then she finds out that she was a victim of SRA. John Wedger has also said something in the past. He said it quite a few times, I believe, but I remember that he said it at least once. He said that false memories are not false memories, but are people that have been abused, satanically, ritually abused. He gave no evidence of this, like he gives no evidence of anything. So I've been looking in. I remember someone telling me about I think it was a psychiatrist many years ago, probably about 15 years ago, who'd abused a position with a vulnerable person and basically managed to convince this vulnerable person that she'd been abused as a child. Subsequently went on to then get power of attorney, ended up in a lesbian relationship with this vulnerable victim, and this lady then would have nothing to do with her family because she believed that they'd done all these terrible things to her, and this psychiatrist or psychologist, I can't remember, it was such a long time ago, managed to get power of attorney, get the house signed over to herself, and was just an out and out rotten person. So false memories do exist. So I spent a little time on the Squinternet today, and I don't understand why John Wedger can say that false memories are not a thing, because we've had people confessing in courts to stuff that they haven't done. People have been convicted and then it's been proved later on through DNA or whatever evidence that that person absolutely was not there. There was a case of a young guy in America. There was two friends and it was a false memory. And the guy spent years in prison for something that he didn't do, but had convinced himself because of his friend telling him he'd done this. He was sure that he had. So it happens. So we know they can do it, right? We hear about MK Ultra, mind control and all of these things. Yeah, they existed. They probably still do. There's neuro-linguistic programming, of which Ian Puddick, oddly enough, said that he had studied and was capable of doing. Now, I could be going down a bit of a strange path here, and I have zero evidence to back it up. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there because I think we need to talk about it. Wilfred Wong. People meet him and they think they've been satanically ritually abused, whereas prior to that, they thought they had been just abused, not just abused, but abused as a child. They meet Wilfred and then it's a light went off in my head after talking to him for hours and hours that actually it was satanic ritual abuse. Let's look at the vulnerable people that both Wilfred Wong and John Wedger have been around. John Wedger puts them on his YouTube. He was doing that, wasn't he? Many of them were liars. Many of them were incredibly vulnerable people. So who is doing the false memory here, if anyone? It's a really interesting line to go down because people remember crimes they didn't commit. Do people have people like Wilfred Wong and John Wedger in their ears and convince themselves through what he puts on YouTube, that he turns around and says there's no such thing as false memory. Are these people actually getting false memories from these people because of their very strong stance on Satanism and everything bad is Satanists? Well, it isn't, is it? And then what they do is they wash it down with a bit of God. All glug, glug, glug down with save the baby Jesus. We're wonderful people. Are they? Are they? Are they mentally ill themselves? We don't know that. You know, we're all mad on some level. No, I'm not exempt. I think we know that. But it's interesting because I can't find anywhere where it says that false memory is a non-thing and it's abuse. I found things where it's like false memory and a narrative to gaslight a victim. I think it's something that we need to look into a bit further. I mean, it's in Psychology Today, and yes, we've got problems with the British Psychological Society and many things. I've bumped into many of these characters on my little journey. So let's just, like, Psychology Today, this is there's reams and reams of it, but I'll put some links below to what I've been looking at today. What causes a false memory? Human memory is pliable and easy to manipulate. Who do we know who does that? A distorted memory or the introduction of later false information can affect how we recall events experienced firsthand. A person's existing knowledge can impede and obstruct their own memory, leading to a newly formed, cobbled together recollection that does not accurately reflect their own reality. Also, under circumstances, a person can be given false information and can be convinced to believe that an event that never occurred actually did. And we see this with false confessions, don't we? Like where the police are on them. We've had like many a case like that. So, excuse me. So if this is the case, and it's pretty mainstream that this can happen, why Wilfred Wong and John Wedger so insistent that false memory doesn't happen and it's all satanic ritual abuse? Are these videos that going around convincing people, vulnerable people, that my terrible life, my terrible abuse, because all abuse is terrible, was satanic? And then they're getting in touch with these people, and then there's more of them and more of them and more of them, all these victims. Now, Jeanette Archer doesn't fall into that. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose. Jeanette Archer doesn't fall into that, not one tiny bit, because she knows exactly what she's doing. I believe she knows exactly what she's doing, and she actually gaslighting these victims to encourage them, because they're all God-based, aren't they? God bless you and all of this thing, and pray for me and all this. Like, so you can convince a vulnerable person that their abuse is SRA for your own gain. Now, we don't know what the gain is of people. Now, there's a fly. It's devil fly. Hello, John. John the fly. Annoying, isn't he? So you can have this false memory planted, but you can't have it the other way, according to John and Wilfred Wong, and I guess many of the others. It's just really interesting. It's just really, really interesting. John the Fly made me lose my train of thought there a little bit. It's not just the bang on the head, John the Fly's lost my train of thought as well. So I'm just wondering what you guys think about this, because it certainly needs digging into a lot more than we've looked at in the past. It's just a really, really interesting topic. Now, what would be the end game? Sorry, I still got itchy nose. What would be the end game of convincing victims of abuse or people like attention seekers, whatever it is, like some vulnerable people, whether it's like an attention seeking disorder or whether it's an abuse situation of child abuse or abuse later on in life that has made these people potentially vulnerable. What's the end game here in trying to convince everybody that it's SRA? Apart from, I mean, I don't believe it's just the money that Wedger's been getting from his GoFundMes and all of that. I think there's a bigger end game with that than just, what has he had out of it? 20, 30 grand? That's not, well, it's a lot of money. I could really do with 20, 30 grand. But what's the benefit? Why would you go this route? And we know that Mike Tarriger is very clear that all of his abuse wasn't SRA. He said he was just filthy, dirty bastards who made his life a misery and who abused him on every level. But there was no satanic ritual in that. I've met people that have been through the care system. Some have been in kind of cult-like kind of situations, but very few. No one's talked about satanic ritual abuse to me. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. There's weirdos everywhere, but not in the volume. No way in the volume. And are we getting this volume because now people are convincing themselves through YouTube and everybody else jumping on this bandwagon? Are these people meeting people like Wilfred Wong, people like Vicky Ash, people like John Wedger, and convincing and then having their niggling doubt, oh, I'm looking at this on YouTube, maybe I was satanically ritually abused. And then they're in touch with these people and then they're damn well sure of it. Who exactly is planting the false memory? It's a big question. It's a big question. And there's going to be way more to this, because the more I'm looking at what's going on in the alternate media, well, it's not the alternate media anymore, is it? It's just made up crap like the mainstream media. I don't understand what the end game here is. Is it to discredit, because we know that paedophile rings exist. We know that. Is it to discredit people so that the real perpetrators of these rings are never brought to justice and it can carry on? Because you start shouting Satanists, you're not going to be believed. If you've convinced yourself it is Satanist, you're not going to be believed. This lady, Emma Macaulay, go over to Trouser Mouse, he's got the videos up there. This Emma Macaulay has had her children taken away from her. What else is going to happen if you start, whether you believe it 100% or not? I've said it before. If you go into any court, start saying Satanists and ritual abuse and all this stuff, you're going to look crazy. Whether it's true or not, this is not the way to go. This really is not the way to go in a family court or any court. I honestly don't know what Wilfred Wong can possibly have as his defence that's not going to make him look barking mad. There's already 2 people who have pled guilty. He would do well just to plead guilty as early as he possibly can now, because these people coming out of the woodwork going, oh yeah, I was satanically ritually abused, but I didn't know it until I met Wilfred Wong. This is a barrister's wet dream, for God's sake. It really is. But are these vulnerable people getting sucked into this craziness and believing it themselves? Because it's easy to do, it says here in Psychology Today. It's easy to do. We've seen the police do it over and over with people getting false confessions. False memories, like it's happened. It happens more often than we would all imagine. So yeah, that's my little ramble for today. But this one's got legs, because this needs picking apart even more. And I want to be looking into, because there's mantras. Like it's hard to get through. The only one that I ever had any fun with watching of John Wedgett was that testimony. That I had fun with that, but I haven't actually been on his channel and watched his interviews from start to finish with these victims. and I haven't with, and I have never managed to get through a full thing of Wilfred Wong, of which there are like 8 million all over YouTube. So this one's got legs, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get through. But I imagine that the gaslighting is probably quite high within these videos. Victoria Ash as well need to really, I looked at her about 8 months ago, and it was also bonkers. I kind of like only got halfway through with it. So I want to see like the phrases that are used, because these are like gaslighting phrases, and I know that's all got trendy and that, I got gaslit. Maybe. But I want to see what this mantra actually is. I mean, we know it was with Bill Maloney, victims and survivors. Now, when we get down to like false memory and NLP, go on to Brian Harvey's channel and look at what he put up with regards to Andrew Ash and what happened when Bill Maloney is up in his face going, I think, therefore I am, victims, and like over and over and over again. It's really weird, creepy stuff. There's never an explanation for it whatsoever. But I'm wondering, if I watch enough of these interviews, I've seen enough of John Wedge's interviews, but when he's got the victims there and the Wilfred Wong, I want to see if there's mantras here. I want to see if this Jeanette Archer is using terminology that's just repeated by every single one of these characters. Because if it is, at the very least, we've got gaslighting going on here. At the very worst, are we giving false memory? And this I find absolutely fascinating. So yeah, that's where I am today, really. Maybe the knock on me head, the knock on me noggin has actually clicked a little light bulb off in there. And oddly enough, against himself last night, I won at backgammon. 5 games in a row. Doesn't happen very often. He usually wins. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I'd be really interested into what you guys think. And if we've got any psychologists that watch this channel, I'd really be interested in your opinions on this. When I get back to the UK, I shall certainly be digging around to see what I can find within. I do know a couple of psychologists, and it was actually one of the psychologists that told me about this woman who'd John's back. Get lost, John. How annoying. It was this psychologist that actually told me about this vulnerable person that psychiatrist or psychologist, I can't remember, had actually given her false memories to the point that she hated her parents and signed everything over to this absolute horror of a woman. So yeah, let me know what you think. And guys, thank you ever so much for your kind words and that. It's my back really and my neck that's stiff. But I'm thinking the old bruise here, we're going to watch it go through every shade, aren't we, over the next week. There might actually be a colour at the end of it that I can paint my bathroom when I get back home. Be every Pantone number known to man. This isn't as bad as my arse cheek and my hip, I can tell you. That's no, it's not a sight to be seen. But yeah, it's but I'm all right. I feel all right. Still got a bit of a dull headache. But honestly, guys, thanks for your kind words. It was just an unfortunate thing. But everyone's okay. Everyone is okay. So thanks ever so much for your kind thoughts on that. But honestly, I'm all right. I'm just still feeling a little bit sorry for myself. I'm a bit embarrassed about this thing on my head, and I've got one here as well that look worse off of these lights because I put like the ring light here. And I just embarrassed to go out, because whenever you go out and you've got a bruise on your face, like, people automatically think it's DV. And you know, as much as he's hopping around as well, but People love to think the worst, don't they? So yeah, until I can get enough foundation on this, which will be another couple of, well, we're locked in now, aren't we? It's Friday tomorrow, so that'll be all right. Come Monday, when we're all allowed out again, yeah, it'll be pretty much gone. So out and about will happen, but it's probably better to stay in for the next couple of days anyway, while I'm still feeling a little bit ropey and like on and off headaches. So anyway, thanks for listening to me yarring on. 20 minutes, gone on a little bit too long, but look after your lovely selves, and I'll catch up with you soon. All right, much love to you and yours. Bye-bye. Bye.